Socialization is the commitment of an individual of values and norms which are characteristics of groups to which they as yet do not belong, but to which they aspire, to a culture of higher group in the hope of gaining its status in future. So anticipatory socialization means when an individual of a particular group imitates or follows the values and norms of a higher group to which he does not belong, and this is done in hope of gaining a higher status in future. Historically, the Sanskritization refers to the process which led to changes in the status of various castes in Indian society, its leadership or its cultural patterns. So when there is a change in the status of different castes of Indian society, their leadership pattern, their cultural patterns, it is called as Sanskritization. In a specific sense, Sanskritization in contemporaneous process of cultural limitations of upper caste by lower caste and subcaste in different parts of India. So, Sanskritization has a limited scope when the upper caste imitates the lower caste or the subcaste. The subcaste in different parts of India. The nature of this type of sensitization is by no means uniform, as the content of cultural norms or customs being initiated may vary from Sanskrit to Hindu traditional forms to the tribal pattern. And this type of sensitization is not uniform because the content of the cultural norms or customs are different in different parts, and it varies from Sanskrit to Hindu tradition and to the tribal patterns. Sanskritization means not only the adoption of new customs and habits but also exposure to new ideas. So in Sanskritization, adoption of new customs and habits are is followed, but also exposure to new ideas and values of Sanskritic literature, sacred as well as secular, is also tried to be taken into a practice. The lower caste may have tried to raise their social status and prestige by taking those upper castes as reference groups and by Sanskritizing themselves. And the lower caste takes the upper caste as their reference groups and try to Sanskritize themselves. The phenomena of economic and political domination also assumes great influence in the process of Sanskritization. Srinivas has integrated the concept of Sanskritization with that of power and domination. So, the economic and political domination also assumes significance of the process of Sanskritization. And Srinivas has integrated the concept of Sanskritization with that of power and domination. So, everyone wants to get power and everyone wants to become dominating in nature. He emphasizes that the mediation of the various models of Sanskritization through the local dominant caste stresses the importance of the latter in the process of cultural transmission. So Sanskritization, by taking into account the your domination and power, tries to bring transmission in the cultural patterns. In the context of the community or a religion, any dominant caste, lower or upper, could be accepted as a reference group, and any dominant caste can become a reference group in context of community. But whenever the reference group is lower in caste hierarchy than the recipient one, the resulting anticipatory socialization process would normally lead to desensitization. But if a person of upper caste is imitating the lower caste, then it is not called the anticipatory socialization process will not be called as sensitization, but it will be called as desensitization, since the recipient group drifts away from the ideals and values as embodied in the great tradition or in the Sanskrit literature or Vedic literature. The reason behind it is that that particular group is varying itself from the ideas and the values that have been practiced by Sanskrit literature or Vedic literature. Thus, if the locally dominant caste is Brahmin, it will tend to transmit a Brahminical model of Sanskritization. If the dominant caste is a Brahmin caste, then the model of the model that will be followed, it will be a Brahminical model of Sanskritization. Whereas if it is a Kshatriyas or Vash, it will transmit Kshatriya or Vash model according to the suitability and historical antecedent. So dominance, power and dominance also helps in modeling the caste below that particular caste which is dominant or which is powerful. Some sociologists treat Sanskritization as a form of protest against the normative structure and principles as laid down by the great tradition. This means that the members of the concerned group take to Sanskritization not because they wish to emulate the reference group, but because they would like to challenge and wrest away the monopoly of the upper caste. So all those sociologists who take Sanskritization in a negative sense, they says that the person who is Sanskritization or the group who is trying to Sanskritize itself is not because they wish to emulate the reference group, but because they want to crush the reference group by showing that they can also economically, educationally, politically be equal to them. Sanskritization as a concept has been criticized at the following different levels. Number one, Sanskritization as a concept exaggerates social mobility or the scope of lower caste moving up the social ladder. It does not lead to structural change but only positional change of some individuals. The first criticism is that Sanskritization is not a structural change, it is a positional change where a lower caste tries to imitate and increase its level, tries to imitate the upper caste and increase his status and make it equivalent to that of the upper caste. Number two, the ideology of Sanskritization assumes the superiority of the upper caste and consider the lower caste to be inferior. The ideology behind Sanskritization is again of inequality, where it clearly states the upper caste and the lower caste. The lower caste is going to imitate the upper caste. Therefore, the desire to initiate the upper caste is seen as natural and desirable. Then third, Sanskritization seems to justify inequality and exclusion in society. And Sanskritization, as I said, is a form, it justifies inequality. It also justifies exclusion, that those who were the persons or the group that is imitating the upper caste, that group is getting itself excluded from the group that it belongs. It has been expressed that since Sanskritization results in the adoption of upper caste rites and rituals, it leads to the practice of dowry, discrimination against women, and other such called upper caste ideas. When the imitation of upper caste rites and rituals will be followed by the lower caste, then the evils such as dowry and many other social evils will also be practiced by the lower caste, which was once the acts of the upper caste. It has been expressed that since Sanskritization results in the adoption of the effects of Sanskritization is the key characteristic of Dalit cultures and society have disappeared. For example, the work that lower castes do is considered shameful. Identities based on work, craft and artisanal. One of the most significant yet a paradoxical changes in the caste system in the contemporary period is that it has tended to become invisible, for the upper abilities are regarded useless. And now the discrimination between the upper caste and the lower caste has become negligible. Therefore, it can be said that due to a Sanskritization, Dalit culture has disappeared. D.N. Majumdar is of the opinion that the process of Sanskritization is not visible in most part of India. The movement, if any, is adopting secular values. The anti-Brahminical movement consciously dropped Sanskrit words and phrases. Some sociologists believe that Sanskritization is a specific form of adopting any other culture. It does not necessarily mean adopting the culture of the upper caste only. Hence, the process of Sanskritization aims at acculturation. So, the adoption of the culture may not only be limited to the adoption of the upper Hindu caste culture. It may be the imitation of the culture of any sort.